What's up, guys? Welcome to Voicey here. This is your host that just spent like 5 minutes writing an intro parody version of Kickapoo by Tenacious D, then realized how stupid it would sound if I were to perform it on here, and so I just scrapped it, and now I'm doing this intro. Captain Zach, I don't know where I am. And today's subreddit is r/MaliciousCompliance.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.
This story's called, You Are Salaried, Right? Just stay up for this meeting. Before we begin, dear readers, a brief bit of backstory. I have found that every company has a Todd. You will know who your Todd is because he is who you call when you don't know who to call. When the unthinkable happens and everything is on fire and there is no hope of salvation, Todd steps in to fix it. Todd spends his entire time just fixing the unfixable. He's been with the company since the dawn of time, knows the true names of several demons, and was in the room when the old magic was written. Our Todd has an elite team to be on call when stuff breaks. Each team member is the highest authority in the company for one specific thing or another. They are the elite. Their word is law, and to question them is to question Todd. Our story begins shortly after I had accomplished the greatest goal, and became the newest member of Todd's team. Now, my company works with point of sale. We sell computers, software, printers, card readers, and pretty much anything you need to take money from someone else. After years of working in the call center, I proved myself worthy of Todd's attention. I interviewed, tested, and became the specialist of third-party integration. My focus is the connection between our product and whatever weird stuff your company wants to use. Examples of this include getting smart lights to change on command from ordering kiosks, letting the staff control the new jukebox you bought with their employee ID cards, or getting the sales data for the day to report to your Canadian counterparts in both French and English, but only if someone buys the poutine Sara surprise that day, and other fun conundrums that only the client can fathom. It is important to note that during my time in the call center, I was paid hourly. As a specialist, I would be made a salaried employee and would be on call. After accepting the position, I was told that I would have a trial period of 1 month to prove myself. I would remain hourly, but would have a pay increase to more closely match my expected rate as a salaried employee. I would have the title change and new responsibilities of my job, but I had this month to prove I was worth the extra dinero. The first day of my new job, we get a call from one of our more needy clients. They lay out a series of demands. All of their stores must be upgraded to Windows 10, as each store makes about $10,000 a day. Taking them down for a remodel is not acceptable. All of these upgrades must be done overnight while the store is closed. If the upgrade fails, the store must be rolled back that night so they can open hourly. The window of time to do one of these upgrades is 8 hours. The fastest they have been able to do one is 10 hours. All of this means one thing. They need a specialist to do the upgrades, one that knows their integration. I give Todd the put me in coach nod, and a deal is struck. Todd is about to leave on vacation, which leaves me under the control of Steve, the director of the support center, who used to be my boss before I worked for Todd. I now am on overnights. 4 nights a week, I upgraded these stores. I supervise 2 to 3 technicians who are on site in separate stores. I do all the software, they do the hardware. This process is staggered based on time zones, so generally I am pulling 12-hour shifts. The overtime is amazing, especially paired with the raise I got. Fast forward a week or two, the initial batch does not go the best. I have a 40% failure rate. This is due to scripts provided to both the client and me by the various third-party companies used by the stores, including their music, food delivery, and credit card processors. Everyone on their side knows who's the bad guy here. The talks are in place and we are moving forward. A meeting between the client and us is scheduled near the end of the week, right in the middle of my off time. As I said, I'm working 12 hours a day. I live a full hour from work, and for security reasons, can't do these upgrades outside the office. I have 10 hours to eat, sleep, get up, and eat again before work. Once I get to work, there are no breaks on the upgrade train, no lunch, no stopping. So I get home around 11 a.m. each day. The meeting is set for 4 p.m. I can't get any reasonable sleep before the meeting or after. Steve demands that I be there to account for my failures. I already have another specialist designed as my proxy for these sort of meetings, because sleep is a thing. I also explain that I am still hourly, but he won't hear it. He insists that I need to be there to explain why the project is going so poorly, and that my explanation better not just be throwing other people under the bus. He tries to explain that I am salaried and therefore need to be there when the company needs me, especially when I am the one who is screwing up. Again, I try to remind him of my probationary period, but he won't listen. And there, my friends, begins the malicious compliance. I clock in at 10 p.m. the day before the meeting. I do my upgrades, all 3 of which are successes, due to what I assume is a change in the third-party backend. The scripts I'm provided with work perfectly this time, and all goes well. The corporate contact I report to in the morning tells me the meeting is just about to go over the new changes to procedure we went through that night, and I'll get the Cliff's Notes in my email. No need to attend the meeting. I thank them and sign out. Then I sit. For 6 hours, I twiddle my thumbs, take a lunch break and a car nap, and wait for the meeting. When it's time, I walk upstairs to the top floor and the conference room, where everyone but Steve is shocked to see me. I calmly take my place and wait for the meeting to start, stating that I was asked to be here. The meeting lasts 30 minutes and consists of the new procedure, praise for my diligence, and a quick overview of how the timetable will change because of the past failures. It is noted that my performance has prevented a lot of the sites from failing when they would have otherwise, and the client is pleased with my work. Steve, who had previously blamed me for the failures, sheepishly agrees that I was a good fit for the project. Then the meeting ends with the best part. The person giving the talk states that she knows I am asleep right now, so she will go over the changes with me personally when I get in tonight. Meanwhile, the guy I asked to sit in on the meeting for me will work with them to set up the changes to be deployed. About 3 hours of work, so that it's all ready when I get in at 10. The meeting ends. Steve makes a comment about the changes being done by someone with more experience and hints that it should be my responsibility. I cheerfully say that rather than waste my coworkers' time, I will just do the changes myself. I have my 3rd or 4th wind by now and am ready to go. At the end of day 2, I have spent 36 hours at work. Caffeine is my only salvation, and we are almost done. Near the end, I am basically waiting for my technician at my last store to finish testing. So I tell him to call me and shut my eyes for about half an hour just to rest a bit. All is well. I get called, everything is green. The vigil is over. 2 of my friends insist on driving me home, where I promptly pass out into the most heavenly sleep I have had in ages. I wake up to an email asking me to head into work for a meeting with HR. It is my day off, so I am kind of perplexed. I head on in and apologize for being fashionably late. The meeting is with the head of HR, who has a report that I was sleeping on the job. There is camera footage of my 30-minute power nap. I calmly explained that Steve had asked me to show up to the meeting and then asked me to stay later to set up the changes. And by the time I took my nap, during what I call my paid 30-minute break, I had been in the building for 35 hours. I politely remind the HR head that I am on my trial period and will be expecting overtime pay for that time. It came to about 33 hours and change due to my extended lunch break. Todd returned from his vacation and tore Steve a new definition of duties. From then on, he would not be given control over Todd's team when he was away, and we would report directly to the CEO. The project completed without much incident, and I passed my probation with flying colors. A bit more info since people are asking. Steve would later be fired several months later due to a similar situation where he threw someone so hard under the bus that everyone stopped and saw how uncool that was. He was replaced with new Steve, who is a superior Steve in every way. A good test of someone's personality is to put them in charge for a little bit and see how they handle that power. Steve revealed himself to be quite the schlonghead, if you get what I mean. You should, because we're uncensored here. Alrighty, this story is called "You Can Just Use the Office's Wi-Fi," or alternatively, "How to Attempt Being a Chat and Cost Your Company Thousands of Dollars." Long-time lurker, first-time poster, hopefully it fits. My work involves me having to install hardware in all of my employer's assets. This makes me fairly unavailable for all of my other responsibilities, but it only happens on occasion, so it's normally no big deal. It only gets costly if I'll be away for extended amounts of time. As it so happens, we acquired another project a couple of states away in New Mexico, so I needed to go on site for a week or two to get all the assets in line. I drive the around 14 hours to get on site and arrive on Monday only to find out that my cell provider has no towers in the area. So my phone is effectively a high-tech Rolodex. I tell them I need them to pick me up a little prepaid phone on whatever network works best in the area. I'm not picky, I just need a crappy $100 phone for the next 2 weeks. They tell me they'll have it waiting on me in the office Tuesday morning. The thing about my job is, I typically answer to no one besides the owner of the company. I know my job inside and out. I know who I need to talk to whenever I need something, and I'm damn good at what I do. I'm not a complete ass, but I'm used to my employer giving me whatever I say I need because they know that if I want something, there's a reason for it. Enter our problem. The project lead for this project moved over to my company when we bought the project out, so he feels like he has something to prove. When I arrive on Tuesday morning, I ask the supply tech for my new phone. He twirls his thumbs a bit and tells me he was instructed to tell me I need to talk to the project lead. I thought this was odd, but figured maybe he just wanted to introduce himself. I enter his office, and my first impression is that this might be the smuggest looking prick I've ever met. I've long learned that my first impression of someone is usually accurate, so I mentally buckle down and prepare for a dookie party. He skips over introducing himself, I assume because he is so important I should have read his autobiography at some point, and immediately jumps in. "You the one that wanted the phone?" I nod in affirmation, and before I can speak, he dives back into his monologue. "No one else around here gets a phone. I don't know why you think you're special. If you need internet, you can use the office Wi-Fi." Rather than wasting my breath explaining things, I decide that I just shrug and say, "Okay, whatever you say." Here's where the malicious compliance kicks in. Whenever I'm on a location, they get billed by the main office for all my time, supplies, etc. This all comes out of their bottom line, but I usually work quickly so it isn't too bad. The thing is, the assets I'm installing hardware on are about 45 minutes away from the office, and I have to ensure each one is activated before I can install the next to ensure there are no errors with integration. This means that instead of just activating them from my phone and troubleshooting on the spot, I have a 45-minute drive in between every step of my job. My job now goes 45-minute drive to asset location, install hardware, 45-minute to office, activate, if activation works, another 45-minute drive to do the next asset. If not, then a 45-minute drive back to troubleshoot, which hopefully works the first time, but can easily take more trips. Long story short, this turns what was originally going to be a 2-week project into just over 6 weeks. My time is not cheap, nor is my equipment. The increase in cost to his project was around $14,000 once you factor in my pay and the fuel costs. Then add however much the extra 4 weeks of paying for me to stay at a Holiday Inn Express costs. I never saw this bill, so I didn't factor it in, but I assume it was around $700 a week. That brings us up to an extra $17,000. That would have been the end of it, but the main office was not happy about this, as me not being available except for by email at night when I was in the office caused them tremendous difficulty in the extra month I was absent. They ended up backcharging his project for every cost that had come along due to my absence, which totaled just under $60,000. So now his project is being hit with almost $80,000 in charges. All because he wanted to flex his authority and deny me a phone which would have cost a couple $100. That would have been the end of it, but then I'm told this morning that our newest project lead is being let go for wasting resources. They include some additional information. A lot of people are asking why I handled this the way I did, so I'll add some details. The $60,000 in back charges was basically the main office billing him for everything possible and was within the company. The actual costs of my absence to the company were far lower as I have things set up to run fairly efficiently. I tried on numerous occasions to explain why I needed this phone and was dismissed each time. When I complained to the home office, I was basically just told to grin and bear it, and it obviously couldn't be that bad. The sink or swim attitude permeates deep in this industry. That man was being paid around $450,000 a year and should therefore be able to function on his own. In this industry, individual mistakes at the PM level can quickly climb into the hundreds of thousands or millions. It's worth what my MC costs just to get rid of a crappy PM. If you think I should have just covered his butt, I tried. I could have tried harder, sure, but at some point, you have to stop covering people or businesses' asses and let them screw up on their own. People like him get to that position because people keep covering their screw-ups up for them. What kind of freaking industry is that? $450,000 a year. Oh boy, that's a lot of money. I think that's as much as the president makes, right? I mean, at least not currently, because didn't he take the $1 salary? I'm pretty sure that's the presidential salary. That is insane.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.